Hi folks, this is Karim Raouf from our IT Visualizer channel. They will continue our lab, the Matrix Labs, the video number 26. We have been discussing in the previous video the following. We have been still working on discovering the DC-Diag tool and its tests that will check the health of our domain controllers and our Active Directory. This is a very useful tool. It will run 30 different tools. Excuse me guys, because I said before that it's 21 tests. No, it will run 30 tests that will diagnose and troubleshoot different aspects or problems concerning the domain controllers and the Active Directory in general. Okay, so we have stopped the last time at the test called services and system log, verify enterprise references, verify references. So these tests are very important. We discussed every one of these tests in details in the previous video. Today we will continue working discussing the different tests. We will see that there is a test called DNS, which is a very important test that will uh, uh, check different aspects of the DNS, which is the core, and it's a very important component for the Active Directory to work properly. We have seen that in the slides of Mr. Low van der Poel that one of the core services that the Active Directory depend on is the DNS. So we need to troubleshoot or to make sure our DNS is working perfectly. So today we will continue working with the DC-Diag tests, and we will discuss the DNS test. But before that, we need to focus on a couple of things. First of all, for the communication between the clients and the domain controllers to be working perfectly, and for the communication between the domain controllers and the other domain controllers should work perfectly, there is a couple of ports should be opened. So this Mr. Low van der Poel has this small slide saying the most important ports that should be opened in the firewall of the domain controllers, and I think from the client side also of the users, for example, like Windows 10 workstations. So we can see here, for example, that you need to open port TCP 389 used for request to the Active Directory. So if someone is requesting from the Active Directory maybe information about a certain user or changing some attributes of a user, this port should be opened in the firewall TCP 389, UDP 389. This is for the LDAP protocol, and we have seen here what is the function of this protocol, and this is LDAP over SSL. This is the encrypted version of, or the secure version of LDAP. And then we have LDAP ping. This is used for LDAP ping, which is used to determine the availability of domain controllers. So as we can see here, this is very simple explanation of the ports and why they should be opened on the firewalls of both the domain controllers and the clients. I think this should be opened from the client side as well. Then we have the purpose for the authentication. This is TCP port 88 and UDP port 88. Then we have the DNS, of course, which is a very important protocol that should be opened or should be bypassed from the firewall of the domain controller and from the clients. We have port TCP 35, UDP 35, and then the global catalog, which is a very important feature that is added to the domain controller, or it is activated on the domain controller, which is like a small, or it is a partial backup, or let's see, partial snapshot, if we can call, from all of the objects in the forest. So if any user want to query, or any domain controller want to query about a certain object in a certain domain or a certain object in the forest, it should ask the domain controller that is holding the global catalog. We will see a small description about the global catalog. We have discussed this before, but the global catalog is a very important feature. This is not a service or this is not a protocol. This is a service that is installed on the domain controller, which will help other domain controllers to query about any objects in the forest as a whole. Okay, so this is TCP 3268 and TCP 3269. We can see this is request for global catalog. The other one is for secure requests. Okay, so we have also very important protocol SMB, which is for file sharing and file transferring. This is very, very also important protocol that should be opened or bypassed by the firewall, used for file replication and file sharing as well, and user and computer authentication. I don't know if SMB is used for authentication. Anyway, now we have also the protocol RPC, which is very, very important protocol for domain controllers to communicate. So we have the port TCP 135, then we have protocol 1024 to this number, and all of these ports should be opened. And then we have the last one, which is the NTP protocol, which is used for time synchronization, and it's UDP 123. Anyway, we have seen that, or we have should have all of these ports bypassed by the firewall of the domain controller, and I think from the firewall of the clients the workstations. I have a recommendation, not a recommendation, I regularly or I normally close the firewall on all of my servers, because I know that there will be a lot of problems concerning this firewall or Windows firewall doing problems when it is opened on the servers. This is not a best practice, but if you close the firewall on your servers, then you should secure it more by preventing them, for example, from accessing the internet, or by having a strong firewall or a hardware firewall that will protect your servers. Okay, so if you close the firewall, then you should have an alternative to secure your servers by preventing them from accessing the internet, and by adding intrusion detection system, which is by the way, it is most of the firewalls has an intrusion detection system and intrusion prevention system. So you need to have another way to secure your servers other than the Windows firewall, because as I said before, it will do a lot of problems. Or you can have a group policy that will open these ports on all of the Windows firewalls on all of your workstations and servers. This can be done. So this is one of the things, or one of the important things you should take care when you are configuring your domain controllers and your workstations. You should take care of these ports, because it's very, very important for the communication between the domain controllers and between the clients and the domain controller. And if we see the other slide here, these are some of the services that should be running on the DC. Remember, we have a test call services that the DCDiag tool will run to make sure all of these services are running. We have discussed every one of these services in specific. So we can see he's having a slide saying Active Directory Domain Services. This is a service, and this is the core service for the Active Directory. Without it, it will not work. We have DNS service, we have Kerberos service, we have Intersite service, we have distributed file system replication. We have discussed all of these services before. NetLogin service, very, very important one for authentication of the users and the users to log into the domain Windows time. This is for time syncing. And remote procedure call service. This is also, this is a protocol and this is a service as well, I think. We will see, if you open services, you will see something called RPC. So it's a protocol and it is a service. Anyway, so you need to make sure these services are running so you don't run into problems concerning your domain controller or your Active Directory. These are services that Active Directory depend on. Like, for example, we have seen in this lab that there is some protocols also that Active Directory depend on, like LDAP, like DNS, like Kerberos. So differentiate between what protocols Active Directory depend on and what services Active Directory depend on. We have discussed both, okay? So these are two important things you need to put into consideration when you are troubleshooting problems concerning your domain controller or your Active Directory. You need to make sure these services are running, and you make to make sure that your firewall is allowing these protocols, so no problems will arise because one of these protocols are blocked. Okay, so let's continue our video and see Mr. Lo van der Poel uh, talking about, or we will continue working with his video. So as we can see here, this is like a way or communication between two different uh, maybe two different forests. As we can see here, there is a forest trust. Okay, these are the domain controllers, the server, the users, and this is the firewall between both. Okay, or this is the firewall. Maybe there is they are two companies that are partnering. Okay, or something. So this is maybe resembling the trust or the forest trust. Okay, so we can see we have talked about the services that are critical for Active Directory to run. And then we can see here I think we've discussed this before in the previous video, that this is the system log. You can filter the events concerning the system log. You can filter only the warnings and the errors to be displayed in a separate window by making a custom view. Okay, this is one of the most important things to you as a system administrator to see. You can filter the important warning and errors concerning the system log by making custom view, uh, so not to waste time going to the log itself or the system log and see all of the successful and unsuccessful events. Okay, so this will focus or will make you focus on only the errors and warnings. We have seen how we can make a custom view, and I will uh, recommend other custom views for previewing other critical events on any server. I have discussed this before in COVID-19 lab. I will show you all some of the most important events on any server you should focus on, and we will make custom views to make these events appear, or so we can review these critical events. Let me show you all how this is done. So here I have already, before going, let me show you all. Here I have a couple of custom views. If we go to the COVID-19, this is the files of the COVID-19 lab. You can go and check it. Any one of the videos in the COVID-19 lab series, you will see a Google Drive link that will get you to these files. We can see here there is a file called custom views event log. We have 9 custom views. Each one of these custom views are focusing on a couple of important events to review. How did I make these, or what are how did I identify, or how did I know that these events are critical? I have an important PDF, something called Windows Event Log Analysis Reference. If we open it, it contains this, a very useful PDF. I urge you all to see it. This is contains a lot of events, or it is focusing on a lot of events. For example, if you see account login and log off events, we will see that here he is focusing, or he's telling you the event IDs that you should see concerning the log off and login events of the users. Okay, we can see here, we can see event 4769, 4770. So I have made a custom view to focus on these events. So these events, or uh, these critical events, are made through custom views. So you can import them directly and you can work with it on any server. Just import it through the event viewer console and you will be able to focus and see these events. If you need to know these events and have more information about it, you can go to the COVID-19 lab files and see the Windows Event Log Analysis reference. It is only 1 MB. You can focus and or you can review this later. So let's uh, see how we can import these custom views. As we can see here, this is the screen saver of Matrix that is applied through our group policy. So now we need to go to the event viewer on the PDC and the ADC and import these custom views. So we'll open the control panel, or we can open our console. Simply, we have our event viewer event viewer console is added to our custom console, so we can open it and add these custom views. Okay, so we will close this one. I think this is simple. So we need to close it because I have already in my console or custom console, I have the event viewer already added. So as an administrator, you should focus on these events, and there is some third-party software that already focus on the logs of the servers and monitor the important event IDs and inform you if there is any events you should focus on. There is a lot of third-party software that can do that. But if you are on a low budget, you should focus on these events manually. As we can see here, for example, if we need to focus on errors and warning concerning our system log, we can go there and open Windows logs and then focus or choose the system events. So here we can focus on system events, warning and errors. Then we can tell him, okay, now we can see the warning and errors concerning the system. We can give it a name, for example, system errors. You can create the custom view and export it and then import it to any other event viewer console, so you don't need to create it from scratch. You can only make it once and then export it and then import it to any event viewer console. We can see here we have all of the warnings and errors appearing in this custom view. So now we can export this custom view and then we can import it to the other domain controller. So this is simple, so you don't need to go there and open the event viewer console and create this custom view. So we will export it. We name it system event, or we can make it a system, then we put it in my G partition. I will then copy it to my additional domain controller and then import it to the event viewer console on the additional domain controller. So now we can open the admin share. Okay, so we will access the D partition on our additional domain controller and put uh, put this custom view on the additional domain controller. Oh, so we have already it on the primary. Then I'm copying it to my additional. Okay, so this is it, and then we will open the console. So we have it on the D partition, and I open the admin share from my additional domain controller. So now we can go and export it, or sorry, import it. Right click and import custom view, and then we can go and import this very easily. Now we have it created in a second, so we don't need to go and do a couple of clicks. It's already there, so we can make this on all of our servers if you need. And also you can make a system log. So you can make a system log or an event log server that collects logs from all of the servers in your network. This also is a good practice to collect all of the logs on one server or dedicate a server for collecting logs from all of your servers in your domain. This is also one of the best practices, okay? So here what I need to do here, I need to I will add other or additional custom views. Okay, you have seen that we have 9 custom views to review a lot of important events. This is the test for replication. Okay, so this is test 2. We have seen this before, the replication test. This is to make sure that the database is replicated to this domain controller. So here we can see the matrix screensaver is working. If we go and open the primary domain controller, I think here I need to add the custom views or the additional custom views I have, or I think I will okay, so this is another command to check the replication between the two domain controllers. We will discuss this in separate videos. We will have additional or separate videos to discuss the rep admin utility. This is a utility to check the replication between the domain controllers. As we can see here that we have no failures, so there is 5 replications done between the two domain controllers. This is the source and destination, and the time the replication was done in, and if there is any errors. So this is very good summary, uh, or it's a good info if we have any errors concerning the replication. This is better, or the DN, or this is better than the DCDiag. This is only dedicated for the replication. So this is one of the good tools to focus on replication errors. Okay, so we will discuss it later, don't worry. We will dedicate a series of videos to discuss this utility in details. As we can see here, we don't have any errors. So what we need to do here, I need to copy. I will go and copy the custom views. So I have my Google Drive. I will go to my labs folder and copy the custom views. So we go to the final labs, and then we go to my COVID-19 lab, then go to the Arabic section, then lab files, then I will copy the custom views event log. You have seen this, I have showed you all this folder. Then I need to put it in the folder that is shared between my laptop and my virtual machines in my Matrix lab environment. So now I need to go and open my primary domain controller. As we can see here, it logs off automatically after 1 hour. If you leave the virtual machine logged in, or a user logged in on the virtual machine for 1 hour without any activity, it will log off the user. So this is an important thing. You don't need to let any user logged into the server forever. You need to do what you need to do on the server and then log off from the user. Okay, we can see here there is a lot of uh, commands or PowerShell commands to check the replication. So you can use the rep admin utility, and there is also PowerShell commands to check the replication uh, between the domain controllers. You can get this from the PDF of Mr. Loeb and Paul. I will leave it in my Google Drive link. So he have in his notes, he is discussing the different PowerShell commands that you through it can check if there is, for example, any replication failure, for example, any or check the replication partner, for example. Anyway, we will not go through it. You can open the PDF and check the info or the information. So now we need to go and add the additional custom views that we have uh, discussed before. We have 9 custom views. Each one of these will focus on certain event IDs or certain events that any system administrator should focus on, especially on servers. This was discussed in my COVID-19 lab. You can go there and check the videos concerning this lab. So it's important to have your event viewer on your servers organized so you can check it regularly, or to when you open the event viewer, you can easily identify the errors and warnings, and you do not need to go uh, scrolling and discovering or trying to pinpoint the errors and the warnings. Okay, so now we can see here, and put my D partition. I will put the custom views folder that will contain the 9 custom views. We have seen this. These are all, if you can see here, these are the custom views. Let me give you a look again. These are, if you go there, these are the custom views. If you go there again, D drive, and then labs, and then find labs, and then COVID-19, and then Arabic, and then lab files, Here is the custom views. We have 9 custom views. We will import them one by one. So let's go and see. So now we have both servers or both domain controllers have this folder copied to their D partition. Now we will add the custom views. So we will tell him import custom view, and then you can go and add them one by one. And we will see that each one of these events or custom views have a certain name. So for example, this is access to shared objects. It will focus on accessing shared objects, okay, maybe files or folders, but the odd option should be activated. Then the events for account login and logoff of the users, okay, this is one thing. And then account management, this is concerning creating users or groups in the Active Directory. So these are all should be monitored. Then we have audit policy changes. If you have your audit option activated in your network, you need to know who activated the audit option in your network. Okay, so this is very, very important. Which user has the audit option enabled? So this is one thing also to monitor. Okay. Then we have another thing. We have number 5, auditing PowerShell use. If there is to monitor the audit of PowerShell or the using of PowerShell in the network. So if a hacker is using the PowerShell, you need to monitor what has he done through the PowerShell, and then auditing Windows services. If there is any services of Windows doing things in my network, we need to monitor what the Windows services is doing exactly. Then object access auditing, again, I think related to files and folders. And then we have process tracking. All of these you can go and check the PDF that is discussing all of these events. Again, and schedule task logging. If you need to check what is happening in your schedule task, again, you can check all of these events. If you go there and open like this, and we can open let me show you here. There's the labs, and then there is final labs, and then COVID-19, and then we go to the Arabic, and then if you go, sorry, not the Arabic, the English section, and then go to the lab files, we will see here is the Windows event analysis. Let me first copy it and put it in the Arabic section as well. So if you go there and do like that, and then go to the Arabic section, and then we can go to the lab files and then paste. So if you open it, now you can check all of these events: schedule task logging, object access auditing, account login and logoff, access to shared folder. All of these, each one of them, you will see something describing what it does exactly. So I am making a custom views on the name of the events, so you can check and see description of each one of these events. Okay, so we can continue. Let me first go and check something here. Okay, anyway, so let's continue our lab. So now I have finished importing this on the primary domain controller. We need to go and import it to the secondary or the additional domain controller. We will do the same. So we'll import it back. So you have now all of the custom views imported on both domain controllers. If you have more than that, then you should do this on all of your domain controllers, or to find a way to automate this step, maybe using a script or something. as we can see here, very simple. All of these are uh, import or exported custom views. You can import them easily, and you can change them later if you like to add more events, but these are ready-made events or ready-made custom view events. So as we can see here, very simple things. I think now maybe you will I think the video is ended. I think let's see if we have something here to do. DC diag, I think here it will test the red manager maybe. Yes, this is one of the tests, or red master. Red manager, it's not red master. So this will check if the red master, or the test is called red manager, it will check if the red master is available and accessible. For example, if I suspend this server is the red master, and I try to just a moment, guys. So let's continue, guys. As we can see here, this test will check if the red master is available. So I'm suspending the server that holds the red master role to see if the test will succeed, but it will fail. We have seen that the red master, or have discussed before, that the red master is very important role in the network. It is responsible for distributing SIDs for, or giving the domain controllers a pool of SIDs to uh, distribute it to the objects in the domain. Okay, so this video ended. Let's continue working and see. So one of the slides here of Mr. Lo van der Poel is discussing the read-only domain controller. This is one of the special types of domain controllers that it is installed specifically in certain situations. Okay, as we can see here, this is a domain controller that had read-only partitions or database partitions of the Active Directory. Okay, why we need to have a read-only? So you cannot change it, or you cannot uh, create on it users, or edit users, or edit computers. It's only read-only. You can view the users and computers in the domain, but you cannot change any of these if you have this domain controller installed. Why we need to deploy our ODC to a certain, or why you need this kind of domain controllers to be deployed? If you have a location that contains a few users, poor physical security, so if this is hacked, the hacker will not be able to do anything because it's a read-only database. He cannot change the data, or alter, or manipulate the Active Directory database. Poor network bandwidths. These type of domain controllers will not do a lot of traffic concerning the replication, because the replication will be only unidirectional, or in one direction. Okay, and there is a lot of features actually. Personnel with limited knowledge of information technology. For example, if you have IT or junior ITs that are not or don't have a lot of knowledge concerning the Active Directory, they can only view the Active Directory in this location. They cannot change or do anything. This can be done by the senior ITs. If you have junior ITs, you only can give them small tasks, for example, to join computers to the domain, join users to the domain, but any important events concerning creating a new user or creating a new computer, this junior ITs does not know how to do that, so this can be done through the senior ITs. This is only a view, or this is a solution that you can implement if you have personnel with limited knowledge of information technology. This is unidirectional, so the data is replicated from the primary domain controllers, or the read and write domain controllers, to the read-only domain controllers. It's only in one direction. this database on this server will not replicate to the other domain controllers. It only receive updates from the read and write domain controllers. So it will not replicate its data to other domain controllers. So this, I think, will make it less traffic, or less traffic will be originating from this domain controller. Credidental caching, you can do some users passwords to be cached. So for example, the RODC, if you are logging in or to the domain using the RODC, it will not check, or it will check your username and password by asking the primary domain controller or the read and write domain controller. It will not check it through its database. It will go and query the read and write DC and ask if this username and password is correct. Then it will return it back to the RODC, and then you can log in. Okay, so to make it less, or to shorten this process, you can cache the credentials on the RODC so the user can log in directly, or shorten the time the user can log into the domain. This is called credential caching. We will see, or we ask the ChatGPT 4o to give us, or to explain this diagram, and to explain what is the RODC in simple terms, and we will get an example also concerning this concerning this scenario. Let's see what ChatGPT 4 has to say about that concerning this diagram. As we all know that the AI tools can analyze screenshots and give you a description about it. Let's see what is the answer of ChatGPT 4o. Okay, I think here, let me see something here, guys. If I go there, I think I have my ChatGPT 4o. It is ended. Okay, and I need to make sure that to renew my subscription anyway. So let's see the answer of ChatGPT 4o. This is originated, or this is analyzed, or it is said by ChatGPT 4o. Let's read it loudly.
This image describes a concept in computer networks called a read-only domain controller, RODC. Let's break it down into simpler terms. What is a domain controller? A domain controller is a server that manages user access and security across a network. It's like the main office in a large company where all important records and rules are kept. What is an RODC? An RODC is a special type of domain controller that is read-only. This means it can only read and provide information but cannot make any changes. Think of it like a reference book in a library that you can read but not write in. When and where to use an RODC? Few users. It's useful in locations with only a few people. Poor physical security. It's good for places where security might be weak and you don't want sensitive information to be easily altered. Poor network bandwidth. If the internet or network connection is slow, an RODC helps because it doesn't need to constantly send and receive updates. Limited IT knowledge. If the staff at that location aren't very knowledgeable about computers and networks, an RODC is safer and simpler to manage. Key features. Unidirectional replication. It only receives updates from the main office but doesn't send any back. Think of it as getting memos from headquarters but not sending any responses. Credential caching. It stores login details locally, so users can still log in even if the connection to the main office is down. Visual explanation. In the image, there are two locations. Headquarters. This is the main office with full control over the network. Branch. This is a smaller office with an RODC. It gets updates from the headquarters but can't make changes. By using an RODC, the smaller office can still function efficiently without risking the integrity of the main network.
So this is the explanation of ChatGPT 4o. Now we have a new thing. We have here Claude Note 3, 3.5. It was announced yesterday. So this is the new model of Claude. It's now 3.5, which is more advanced, and it's competing with ChatGPT 4.0. So let's see the answer of Claude 3.5 Sonnet concerning the same screenshot. Let's see what is the answer of uh, Claude 3.3 Sonnet. Okay, let's read it loudly.
This image describes a special type of computer setup called a read-only domain controller, RODC, that's used in certain business networks. Imagine a company with a main office, headquarters, and a small branch office. The main office has all the important company data and user information stored on powerful computers. But the branch office is in a place with some challenges. It doesn't have many workers. It's not very secure physically. The internet connection isn't great. The people there aren't tech experts. To help this branch office connect to the company network safely, they use an RODC. It's like a simplified copy of the main system that only contains the most necessary information. This RODC can let users log in and access some company resources, receive updates from the main office, but can't send changes back. That's the read-only part. Store some login information temporarily to work faster. This setup helps protect the company's main data if something goes wrong at the branch office, while still allowing the branch to function.
Very, very good explanation. I think more simpler than the explanation of ChatGPT for all. Let's here also ask it to explain this scenario. Why we are discussing the RODC? Because RODC is a kind of domain controllers which will do a replication, or it will receive a replication, so the DCDI can diagnose problems concerning replication on the RODC, or can diagnose problems concerning the RODC itself as a system, okay, or other things. So the DCDiag will analyze problems on the RODC the same as uh, analyzing problems or on the read and write domain controllers or the normal domain controllers. So we are discussing the RODC because the DCDiag will analyze, or we can use the DCDiag to analyze problems on the RODC. So let's see here to give us an example or a real world example to explain the concept of the RODC and how we can use the DCDiag tool to solve problems on RODC. So let's see the explanation here. Just a moment.
Sure, let's use the example you provided to explain the concept in a real-world context. Scenario: you have a company called Matrix with a domain named Matrix Internal. There are two main servers, domain controllers, that manage this network. PDC, Primary Domain Controller DCSM 01225. ADC, Additional Domain Controller DCSM 0225. Now, you want to create a read-only domain controller, RODC, for a remote office. This new RODC will be named DCRSM 0125. Why create an RODC? Suppose the remote office has the following conditions. Few users. Only a few employees work there. Poor physical security. The office is in a location where physical security isn't strong. Poor network bandwidth. The internet connection is slow and unreliable. Limited IT knowledge. The employees there are not very tech-savvy. By creating an RODC, DCRSM 0125, you ensure that security. Sensitive data can't be changed or compromised easily. Efficiency. Local authentication is quicker, even if the internet connection is slow. Simplicity. The remote office can function with minimal IT intervention. How the RODC works in this setup. Replication. DCRSM 0125 gets updates from the main servers, DCSM 01225 and DCSM 0225. However, it doesn't send updates back. This means changes can only be made at the main servers. Credential caching. It stores login information locally. So, if the network connection to the main office is down, employees at the remote office can still log in and access the network. Using Diag to solve problems on RODC. Diag is a diagnostic tool for domain controllers. It helps you check the health and functionality of your domain controllers, including ROCs. Example commands and uses. Check overall health. Bash. Copy code. Diag/s DCRSM0125. This command checks the overall health of the RODC DCRSM0125. DNS tests. Bash. Copy code. Diag/s DCRSM0125/test. DNS. This command runs a DNS test on the RODC to ensure it's correctly resolving domain names. Replication tests. Bash. Copy code. Diag/s DCRSM0125/test. Replications. This command checks if the RODC is properly receiving updates from the main servers. Connectivity tests. Bash. Copy code. Diag/s DCRSM0125/test. Connectivity. This command ensures the RODC can communicate with other domain controllers and network resources. Check for errors. Bash. Copy code.
/DCRSM 0125
The /v flag provides detailed output, which is useful for identifying specific issues. Summary. In your matrix.internal domain, the main servers, DCSM01225 and DCSM0225, manage the network. The new RODC, DCRSM0125, helps manage a remote office efficiently and securely. Diag helps you troubleshoot and ensure the RODC is functioning correctly by running various tests and checks. By using an RODC, you balance security, efficiency, and simplicity for remote offices with less optimal conditions.
So this is the answer of ChatGPT 4o. Let's see the answer of Claude 3.5 Sonnet. It's a simple one, maybe the same but in a different format. Let's see just a moment. Okay, like that, and then read it roundly.
Certainly. Let's use your real-world example to explain this concept and how the Diag tool can help. Scenario. Your company, Matrix Corporation, has an internal network domain called Matrix Internal. Currently, you have two domain controllers. Primary Domain Controller, PDC DCSM01225. Additional Domain Controller, ADC DCSM0225. Now, you want to set up a new branch office and create a read-only domain controller, RODC, named DCRSM0125. Here's how this would work. Setting up the RODC. You'd install DCRSM0125 as an RODC in the branch office. This RODC would contain a read-only copy of the Active Directory database from your main domain controllers. RODC functionality. Users in the branch office can log in through DCRSM0125. It can't make changes to the main Active Directory database. If the connection to the main office is slow or unreliable, it can still authenticate users. If someone steals the RODC, they can't use it to make changes to your main network. Replication. Changes made on DCSM01225 or DCSM0225 will replicate to DCRSM0125, but not vice versa. Now, regarding the Diag tool. Diag is a diagnostic tool that can help you identify and troubleshoot issues with domain controllers, including ROCs. Here's how it can help with your RODC. Connectivity tests. Run Diag/s DCRSM0125 to check if the RODC can communicate with other domain controllers. Replication tests. Use Diag/test. Replications/s DCRSM0125 to ensure the RODC is receiving updates properly from DCSM01225 and DCSM0225. Authentication tests. Diag/test. Netlogon/S. DCRSM0125 can verify if the RODC is able to authenticate users correctly. DNS tests. Diag/test. DNS/S. DCRSM0125 checks if DNS is configured correctly on the RODC. Services status. Diag/test. Services/S. DCRSM0125 ensures all necessary services are running on the RODC. If any of these tests fail, Diag will provide detailed error messages to help you identify and resolve the issue. This is particularly useful for your RODC DCRSM0125, as it may be in a remote location where hands-on troubleshooting is more challenging. By regularly running these Diag tests, you can ensure your RODC is functioning correctly and providing the expected services to your branch office users, while maintaining the security benefits of a read-only configuration.
Very, very good answer. It's completing the answer of ChatGPT 4o, and I like it actually very, very much. Now we can ask it to simulate a problem that happened on our ODC and it is solved by DCDiag. So we can see the previous answer. It gives us some recommendation to run the DCDiag tool on our ODC, but we need to have a certain problem and see how the DCDiag will solve it on the RODC. So let's see a scenario created by the AI and how the DCDiag tool will solve the problem or help us solve the problem. This is one of the problems and how we can solve it. Just wait for a moment. So here you go, let's read it.
Let's simulate a scenario where there's a problem with the RODC, DCRSM0125, and show how the Diag tool can be used to diagnose and solve the issue. Scenario. The remote office users report that they are unable to log in, and it seems like the RODC is not authenticating their credentials correctly. This could be due to several reasons, but let's assume it's a replication issue where the RODC isn't receiving the latest updates from the main domain controllers. Steps to diagnose and solve the problem. Run a basic health check. First, we perform a basic health check on the RODC to see if there are any obvious issues. Shell. Copy code. Diag/S. DCRSM0125. This command checks the overall health of the RODC. Possible output. Mathematica. Copy code. Starting test. Connectivity * Active Directory LDAP services, check * Active Directory RPC services, check * Active Directory DRS services, check. DCRSM0125 pass test connectivity starting test. Replications * replication latency check, DCRSM0125, DS bind with SPNX, failed with error 1722, the RPC server is unavailable. DCRSM0125 failed test replications. The output indicates a replication failure, specifically an RPC, remote procedure call, server error. Check detailed replication status. Next, we run a detailed replication test to pinpoint the issue. Shell. Copy code. Diag/S. DCRSM0125/test. Replications/v. The /v flag provides verbose output, giving us more detailed information. Possible output. Net. Copy code. Starting test. Replications * replication latency check source. DCSM01225 destination. DCRSM0125DS replica sync. Failed with error 8606. Insufficient attributes were given to create an object. This object may not exist because it may have been deleted and already garbage collected. DCRSM0125 failed test replications. This detailed output shows that there's an issue with the replication from the main domain controller DCSM01225. Check network connectivity. Ensure that the RODC can communicate with the main domain controller. Shell. Copy code. Diag/S. DCRSM0125/test. Connectivity. Possible output. Mathematica. Copy code. Starting test. Connectivity * Active Directory LDAP services, check * Active Directory RPC services, check * Active Directory DRS services, check. DCRSM0125 pass test connectivity. If this test passes, it means the RODC can communicate with the network. Resolve replication issue. Since the problem appears to be related to replication, the next step is to force synchronization and check if it resolves the issue. Shell. Copy code.
Repadmin barra syncol DCRSM 0125 barra e barra di barra A.
This command forces synchronization of all replication partners with detailed output and forcing all partitions. Verify replication status again. After forcing synchronization, verify the replication status again. Shell. Copy code. diag/s DCRSM0125/test. Replications. Expected output. Bash. Copy code. Starting test. Replications * replication latency check. DCRSM0125 pass test replications. If this test passes, it indicates that the replication issue has been resolved. Check event logs. Finally, check the event logs on the RODC for any lingering issues or confirmations that the problem has been resolved. Shell. Copy code. Event viewer - summary. By using the diag tool, we were able to identify a replication issue with the RODC DCRSM0125, perform detailed tests to diagnose the specific problem, force synchronization to resolve the issue, verify that the replication is now working correctly. This simulation shows how diag can be an essential tool for diagnosing and solving problems with domain controllers, including ROCs. Perfect, can you explain the error in step 2?
So as you can see here, this is very good example. A problem with the RODC. Users were not able to log in, so he's suspecting there is a replication issue between the main domain controllers and the RODC, and this is the main reason for not users able to log in. Okay, so this is the problem and how we can solve it. Let's see if we can give the same question to Claude 3 and ask it to make a similar scenario. So I think here this is also a good example. Let's see if we can read it loudly and see how good it is. Okay, let's read it loudly.
Certainly. Let's simulate a common problem that could occur on a read-only domain controller, RODC, and show how the diag tool can help identify and solve it. Scenario. Let's say you have an RODC named RODC branch 01 in a remote branch office of your company. Users at this branch start complaining that they're occasionally unable to log in, and when they can, access to some resources is very slow. Problem. The RODC is experiencing replication issues with the main domain controllers, causing it to have outdated information. Here's how you might use diag to diagnose and solve this issue. First, run a general diag test on the RODC. Copy diag/s RODC branch 01. In the output, you notice that the replications test is failing. To get more detailed information, you run a specific replication test. Copy diag/test replications/s RODC branch 01. The output shows something like this. Copy starting test replications check RODC branch 01. A recent replication attempt failed. For main DC01 to RODC branch 01 naming context. DC equals Contoso. DC equals com. The replication generated an error. 8606 replication access was denied. RODC branch 01 failed test replications. This indicates that there's a problem with replication permissions. To further diagnose the issue, you can check the replication status. Copy repadmin/showrepl RODC branch 01. This confirms that replication is failing due to access denied errors. To resolve this issue, you need to ensure that the RODC has the correct permissions to replicate from the main domain controllers. On one of the main DCs, you can run copy repadmin/rockpadrepl RODC branch 01. This resets the replication passwords for the RODC. After making this change, run the diag replication test again. Copy diag/test replication/s RODC branch 01. This time, you should see all tests passing. Copy starting test replications check RODC branch 01. Replications are in sync.
No errors.
RODC branch 01 pass test replications. To ensure everything else is working correctly, run a full diag test again. Copy diag/s RODC branch 01. All tests should now pass. In this scenario, diag helped identify a specific replication issue that was causing problems for the RODC. By pinpointing the exact nature of the failure, replication access denied, it guided the solution, resetting replication passwords. After applying the fix, diag confirmed that the problem was resolved. This demonstrates how diag can be an invaluable tool for diagnosing and verifying fixes for domain controller issues, especially for ROCs in remote locations where hands-on troubleshooting might be difficult.
Okay, one thing here I need to ask it, what is resetting replication part 2? What is resetting replication password? Let's see what he mean by that in specific replication passwords. So let's see here what he mean by that. So he's saying here that replication or resetting replication is a crucial process in the Active Directory replication, particularly for read-only domain controllers. Let me explain the concept in more detail. Background: in Active Directory, the domain controller uses passwords to authenticate and secure replication. Okay, the passwords are not regular user passwords, but special credentials used only for replication. Are ODC specific. RODCs are unique because they only receive data, okay, but don't send back to other domain controllers. This is correct, unidirectional. Password complexity. For security reasons, RODC uses a separate complex password for replication, which with each writable domain controller. This limits the potential damage if an RODC is compromised. Automatic password management. Normally, these replication passwords are managed automatically by the domain controllers. They are changed periodically without administration intervention when manual reset is needed, sometimes due to various issues like extended disconnection, time synchronization problems, or security policies. The automatic password management can fail. Okay, so this was the problem. The password used for authenticating to replicate. Okay, was the problem. This results in replication failures. The reset process. Resetting replication passwords involves regenerating these special credentials. The command repadmin RODC pwrep triggers this process. It creates new replication password for RODC. The new passwords are then securely shared with the writable domain controllers. The process ensures that only RODC and the writable DCs know these passwords. Okay. Impact: after resetting, RODC can again authenticate successfully with writable DCs and receive replication data. Security consideration: this process does not expose any password to the administrator. It's a secure way to reestablish replication capabilities. When to use: you can typically reset replication passwords when consistent replication failures occur due to authentication issues and RODC has been offline for an extended period. Okay. You suspect the current replication password might be compromised. Best practice, while it is a powerful tool, resetting password replication should not be a routine action. It's a troubleshooting step. Okay. When used, other replication troubleshooting methods have failed. In essence, resetting replication password is like giving the RDC a new set of keys to access data from other domain controllers, ensuring secure. Perfect. Okay, so this is a very, very good example, but something here makes me a little bit confused. Here is saying that uh, this is here the replication error 1722. Okay, this is the replication RPC. I think this means that it cannot communicate with the primary domain controller, and then we will see something here, um, error 8606. So here it is giving a different message. The other one by Claude, it's saying that 806 is replication access was denied. So what? Which one of them is the correct one? Let me ask Copilot, which can be more convenient. Replication error 8606. Let's see uh, if this means what ChatGPT 4o is saying, or Claude is saying the correct answer. Let's see which one of them is the correct one. Here we are asking for the resources. Okay. Okay. Of course, when insufficient attributes are provided to create an object while not exist to deletion, here are some symptoms. Okay, so this was provided by ChatGPT 4, which is the correct one. This is the correct one. But what about Claude? It's saying that it is concerning. So saying here, when insufficient attributes are provided to create an object, here are some symptoms. Okay. With access is denied. So here is saying this is correct. Okay, so access is denied. Okay, here is saying this DAG reports failure with this 806. Incoming replication triggered by replicate now command fails with access is denied. So this is correct. Okay, it was solved here by ChatGPT 4o by replicating, and is saying that this is due to an object that is not replicated correctly. As for Claude, here is saying that this is uh, related to replication password not correct. Okay, let me ask Claude for some. Let me ask Copilot if this is related to, or this can be triggered by password or replication password. Can this error be caused because of replication passwords? Certainly. Okay, so he's saying here that this could be is not directly related to replication passwords. Instead, it typically occurs due to lingering objects in Active Directory. So here he is saying that this error is related to lingering objects, not for password replication. Okay, this is, I think this is not correct by Claude, but let me do something here. I'll try to make or take this answer and ask chat or Copilot to verify this answer. Okay, verify if this answer is correct. Let's see. Okay, so he's saying that okay, replication failed, show the replication access denied, check replication, are the permissions to replicate once. Okay, verification. Okay, is there any incorrect statements? I think okay, so I suspect the answer of Claude anyway, but let me see something here. I need to check something here to make sure that this is correct. One thing here is saying that okay, let me go to this answer. Okay, let me verify if there is a special password for the RODC. Let me verify if the RODC have a replication password. Okay, let me, the one that we were talking about, let's ask to verify this answer. Verify if this answer is correct. And go like that. Okay, so I think yes, you are correct. RODC use separate complex password for replication of the writable. These unique passwords enhance security and limit potential damage. Give references. I need references concerning RODC. Let's see here, RODC, use separates. Let's see that copy. So here is saying that configuring this source explain how RODC control which user accounts have their password replicated to server. It covers, this is not what I'm talking about. Service and Mediated security, including unidirectional application, local. Anyway, so let's see, or let's continue working with our scenario here. So here I will not confirm the answer of Claude 3, but here the error concerning, or the 8606 concerning an object that was not replicated. This was the problem, okay, with this scenario, that an object was not replicated correctly, so this some users are not able to log in through the RODC because an object was not replicated. Let's go and see. Here I'm trying to explain this error. So this was a replication error. Let's try to explain it, or to explain it more.
Sure, let's dive into the specific error encountered in Step 2 and explain what it means. Error explanation. Error message. .NET. Copy code. DS replica sync. Failed with error 8606. Insufficient attributes were given to create an object. This object may not exist because it may have been deleted and already garbage collected. Breakdown of the error. DS replica sync. This is a function call used by the system to synchronize replication between domain controllers. It ensures that the changes made on one domain controller are propagated to another. Error 8606. This is the specific error code returned by the DS replica sync function. Insufficient attributes were given to create an object. This part of the error message indicates that the replication attempt failed because some necessary attributes, pieces of data, required to replicate an object were missing. In other words, the system tried to replicate an object, such as a user or group, but didn't have all the information it needed. This object may not exist because it may have been deleted and already garbage collected. This suggests that the object the system is trying to replicate might no longer exist. In Active Directory, when an object is deleted, it is not immediately removed, but is instead marked for deletion and eventually garbage collected, permanently deleted, after a certain period. If the object has been garbage collected, it means it no longer exists in the directory. Possible causes. Replication latency. There might be a delay in replication between the domain controllers. If an object was deleted on one controller and not yet replicated to the RODC, this could cause the error. Network issues. Connectivity problems between the domain controllers could result in incomplete replication data being sent. Configuration errors. There could be misconfigurations in the replication settings or permissions that prevent the RODC from receiving complete data. Deleted objects. Objects that have been deleted on the main domain controller might still have remnants trying to replicate, causing inconsistencies. How to address this error? Force replication. Use the repadmin tool to force replication and ensure all data is correctly synchronized. Shell. Copy code. repadmin/syncall dcrsm0125/e/d/a. This command forces synchronization for all replication partners. Check object existence. Verify whether the object in question still exists on the main domain controller, DCSM01225, and ensure it is not marked for deletion. Inspect network connectivity. Ensure that the network connection between the RODC, DCRSM0125, and the main domain controllers is stable and reliable. Review event logs. Check the event logs on both the RODC and the main domain controllers for additional errors or warnings that might give more context to the problem. Go to Event Viewer Clean up metadata. If objects have been deleted and are causing issues, you might need to perform metadata cleanup to remove remnants of these objects. Sudo metadata cleanup. Verify replication configuration. Ensure that the replication settings and permissions are correctly configured to allow the RODC to receive all necessary data. Conclusion. The error encountered in Step 2 indicates that there is a problem with the replication process, specifically related to missing attributes or deleted objects. By using the DIAG tool to diagnose the issue and following the steps to address it, you can resolve the replication problems and ensure that the RODC functions correctly. And how to address this error section Step 2.
So here we will see that then we tell him to simulate a situation where we can use a DCDiag tool on our ODC to solve problems. We have seen that the situation that some users in the remote office that are using the RODC for authentication are unable to log in, and the error here is 1722. We have RPC server is not available, so that means it cannot communicate with the primary domain controller. And then we have a detailed error, so we have 1722, and then we have a detailed error, which is 8606, which is insufficient attributes to create an object. This object may not exist because it have been deleted or already garbage. So after a couple of searching, the problem was that the user that is trying to log in through the RODC is already deleted from the read and write domain controllers, and this was not replicated to the RODC. So some users are not able to log into the RODC because they are deleted from the primary domain controllers, and this deletion was not replicated to the RODC. And as we can see here, I'm asking it to explain 8606 error, and he have explained it in full details. And again here my problem with this error that Claude is giving us another answer. He's saying that 8606 it is related to permissions or replication password. Okay, so this also one thing I am not fully fully confirming it is correct or not, but anyway we will go with ChatGPT for all answer, and we will stop at this section. In the upcoming video we will see, or we'll ask the AI tool ChatGPT for all, what will happen if our RODC is hacked. Does this will compromise the read and write domain controllers or our main domain controllers? We will see that, and we will continue working with the other or we'll continue working with our lab. Hope this video is informative for you all, and thank you all for viewing. Thank you so much.